Alright, this video is going to deal with shooting a rifle from the standing unsupported position. Now, the first thing that you want to do when firing from the standing unsupported position is to provide a good base of fire. Normally centerfire rifles, if you're not holding them correctly, the recoil tends to be a little bit pronounced, knocks you off balance. It creates longer reacquisition times when you're shooting, especially at longer range targets. So the one thing you want to do is provide yourself a good base. You want to be the good base for the rifle. All you're doing when you're shooting a rifle is think of yourself as a bipod. Alright? You're the bipod for the rifle, and the more stable you make that bipod, the better you're going to shoot. Now, standing unsupported is one of the hardest positions to shoot from a rifle. It's the least stable, requires the most hand-eye coordination. So because of that, it's a good idea to go out and practice it. If you get good shooting a rifle standing unsupported, all the other positions are just going to be easier. So we'll go ahead and get started. First thing you want to do is square off with your target. Look at your target, stand directly face to face with the target, so to speak. Alright? Your feet want to be shoulder width, maybe very slightly farther than shoulder width apart. You want your toes angled out at about a 30-degree angle. 25-30 degree angle this way. Okay? Take your weak side foot. The way you determine what your weak side is, if you shoulder your rifle on your right shoulder, your left side is your weak side. If you shoulder your rifle on your left shoulder, your right side is your weak side. So take your weak side leg and foot, move it forward about 12 inches, 10 to 12 inches. Alright? Bend your knees slightly. You don't need a whole lot of bend. If you put a whole lot of bend on your knees, you're going to end up fatiguing and you're just not going to be able to put up a good shot. Bend your knees slightly. Lean forward. Here, I'll face this way a little bit so you can see. What you want to do is you're standing straight up. You want to lean forward just a little bit. Don't lean back. A lot of times I see this when someone's shooting a rifle, is they're leaning back like this. That overpronounces the recoil of the rifle, gets you off target a lot more between each shot, and it's just longer to get back on target. And because of that, because of the over-pronouncement, so to speak, of the recoil, it causes recoil flinch, especially with higher caliber rifles. So in any case, when you're squared off with the target, you have your feet positioned, legs bent, you want to lean forward a little bit. Move back here so you can see. Now, when you shoulder your rifle, don't do, especially if you're shooting a larger caliber, 308, 270, 30-06, 300 Winchester, 338 Lupa, there's a lot of them out there. Don't shoulder your rifle as you would an AR. There's a lot of AR shooters out there, and it's common. They do this when they shoulder an AR. You can see the buttstock of the rifle is up out of the shoulder there. Hopefully you can see on the camera. Don't do that with a higher caliber centerfire. You're going to get yourself hurt. So what you want to do with a centerfire rifle, once you have your stance and you lean forward a little bit, get it tight into your shoulder. Use this hand and push back just a little bit. Alright? Get it secure in there. Once it's secure in there, what you want to do is establish your cheek weld. Alright? You want to get to the point where you can see through the scope with no problems. And you want a little bit of your cheek fat here to hang over the top of your scope. That's how you know you have a good cheek weld. When a little bit of that cheek fat is hanging over, that's perfect. Alright? Your support hand. There's a couple different thoughts about this, but this is how I go about things. So, feel free to comment if you feel there's a different way of doing things. It's my belief that there's more than one way to do things in the world of firearms, but this is what works for me. Now, if you put your hand back too far like this, what I'm doing, I have my hand wrapped around the bolt here. If you do this, a lot of that weight is hanging out there unsupported, and it's going to cause the rifle to get off target. The same thing, if you hold the rifle too far out like this, it causes your arm to fatigue very quickly, and it's going to throw your rifle off target. So what you need to do is find that, that happy medium. A good rule of thumb that I use is, you see my arm right here, it makes roughly about a 45-degree angle when I'm sighted in. There, that's my stance. You can see that it makes about a 45-degree angle on my support hand arm, and that's about what I keep it as. That provides a real stable grip for me, and for me, I encounter a lot less of the wobble that you have to deal with when you're standing unsupported. Having to deal with trigger control. A lot of people, it's normal, if you can see, to wrap that thumb around. And that's fine for normal shooting. There's nothing wrong with that. One thing that I encourage you to try is keep the thumb, instead of wrapping it around the rifle, keep the thumb right like so. So what you're doing is, sometimes when you wrap the thumb around the rifle, you're influencing the aim of the rifle. You know, canting the rifle slightly this way or that, especially if you're anticipating a high recoil. Now, this hand, all it should be doing when it's up in position is you're holding the rifle, you're slightly pulling back a little bit, keeping it tight in your shoulder, and then you're engaging the trigger. That's it. So try it, see if it works for you. It works for me. It helps keep my shot groups a lot tighter when I'm standing. And one last thing that I'll go over is using the sling. This is a variation of a sling supported method. All you do is take your support hand, arm, run it through the sling, wrap it around, and then like so. And then you pull back and tighten up on the sling. I'll show you here. You go like this, do this. You can see what I did is now the sling is tight. It's keeping the rifle tight up against my shoulder, and it's steadying my aim a little bit. So there you go. That's one thing you can try also. So with that, I'll go ahead and end this video. If you have any questions or you want me to go more into detail on any of these aspects of standing unsupported, feel free to comment and I'll be sure to answer. Thank you.